Okay, we're taking a look at the solutions from lesson number 8, which is going to deal with some elimination, substitution, and more solving of linear relations. Okay, number 1 says find the slope and y-intercept of each relation. Then we want to write the equation in slope y-intercept form. So it's really important that you know exactly what that means. Slope y-intercept form, when they say that, it just means put it in y equals mx plus b. And that's kind of the motto for everything that we are doing here. Okay? So it says find the slope and y-intercept here. We actually don't really need to work too hard because take a look. Everything is right there for us. So for 1a, 3x plus y plus 6. So just rearrange this thing. We just want to make sure y is by itself. So what we're going to do is we're going to put y on the left side and move everything else over. So y equals negative 3x, and we'll move that 6 over, and when we move it over, it becomes negative. So now what's the slope and y-intercept? M equals negative 3, b equals negative 6. For C, we have 5x minus 2y minus 4 equals 0. So now what we're going to do to make this easy, we want to make sure our y is positive. So since it's negative, we'll move that one over. And now we'll have 5x minus 4 equals 2y. And we need y by itself, so we'll divide this by 2, which means we have to divide this by 2 and divide that by 2. 5 divided by 2 is 2.5x minus 4 divided by 2 is 2 equals y, so our m is 2.5, our b is negative 2. Okay, so rewrite each equation in slope y-intercept form. We can definitely do that. Here we're just looking at 2a and e. So we have 2x plus y minus 1 equals 0, so we're going to get y by itself, so we'll keep y intact and we'll move everything else over. Y equals negative 2x plus 1, so we just switch the signs. For this one, so that was A, now we're doing E. We have x minus y plus 1 equals 0, so we're just going to move the y over, and we get x plus 1 equals y. That easy. Okay. For 3, we have A and D, it looks like. So solve each linear equation. So that just means let's figure out what x is. So for 3a, 12 equals 3x. If you can't solve that by now, we have some issues because we've been solving this all along. Divide both sides by 3, and you get 12 divided by 3 is 4 equals x. D, x divided by 11 equals 3. How do you get x by itself? You multiply both sides by 11 to get rid of it, or you can just do that little cross multiplying trick. Remember, you can always multiply diagonally across equal signs. And when you do that, you get x equals 3 times 11, which is 33. For 4, we have A and E to do. So for 4a, we have x minus 4 equals negative 5. Bring that minus 4 over, we have x equals negative 5 plus 4, and that's going to give us negative 1. E, we have negative 6 equals, should put that there, negative 6 equals x divided by 5, and then we will just cross multiply up, and we will get negative 6 times 5 equals x, which is negative 30 equals x. All right, we're going to rewrite each equation here, and we're going to look at 4a and e. So 5x minus 5y minus 15 equals 0. We're just going to keep all, since this is negative, we're going to move that over. So we get 5x minus 15 equals now positive 5y. Divide both sides by 5, so when it means we divide this by 5, divide this by 5, and you get x minus 3 equals y. The next one, so that was A. Next one is E. We're going to get x minus 5y plus 15 equals 0. I'm just going to line this, figure out what's going on. And we'll move that 5y over. We get x plus 15 equals positive 5y. Divide everything by 5 again. And you get x divided by 5 plus 3 equals y. And that is a perfectly fine way to leave that because that fraction is valid. So don't worry about it. Okay, 8. We have A, C, and E to do. Okay, so 8a I'm just going to do over here. 2r over 7 equals negative 4. We can solve that because we can just turn that into a fraction. Nice little fraction sandwich we can cross multiply and multiply diagonally. So we have 2r equals negative 28, divide both sides by 2, divide both sides by 2, r equals negative 14. For c, I'm just going to do it in here. 14 equals 7k over 5. So what we're going to do is multiply it diagonally again, because we can turn that into a fraction sandwich. 5 times 14 is 70 equals 7k. Divide both sides by 7, divide by 7, you get k equals 10. And then for e, I will do it over here. 5r over 9 equals 10. Okay, and just multiply that up. And you get 5r equals 90, divide by 5, divide by 5, and that's going to give you 18. Okay, and 9 and 10. Okay, good question for 9 here. The line ax plus 2y minus 5 equals 0 passes through 1, 0. We want to find the value of a, which will in turn be our slope. So let's go ahead and figure out how to do that. So I'm just going to box that off there and hopefully have enough room over here. So we have ax plus 2y minus 5 equals 0. We want to put this in our regular form. So we have 2y equals, and now we have negative ax plus 5. Okay. So we can do this a couple of ways. We can put it straight away in this form, which is what I think is probably the best way for us to handle it. So we'll go y equals negative ax over 2 plus 2.5. And then it says passes through the point 1, 0, so which means our 0 is our y, equals negative a times 1 divided by 2 plus 2.5. Okay, so we can bring that 2.5 over, it becomes negative 2.5 equals negative a times 1 is just a divided by 2. Perfect, now we have a nice little fraction sandwich. Multiply that diagonally and you would get negative 2.5 times 2 is negative 5 equals negative a. But we don't want negative a, we want positive a. How do we do that? Just divide both sides by negative 1 and that will flip the signs to a equals positive 5. Perfect. Okay, we should be very good at 10 because that was what all last lesson was about, so let's make sure we have a good handle on it. So we're going to put negative 3 in for y equals 4 times x, which is 8, plus b. So we get negative 3 equals 32 plus b. And when you bring that 32 over, negative 3 minus 32 equals b. Negative 35 equals b. Okay, and now we come to substitution, some new stuff for us. So for this, we have to do 1, a, and c. With substitution, the most important part is put brackets around everything. That will really help you out. Okay, so let's go ahead and do this. We'll take a look at 1a first. So 1a says we have 3x plus 2 times y. But wait, y isn't just y is also this. So instead of writing y, wherever we see y, we can actually write this thing in here. So we are going to substitute that in for the value of y. But whenever you make a substitution, you must put brackets around what you are substituting in. Negative x plus 3. And then we can just keep going with the rest of this. Minus 1 equals 0. So now let's go ahead and solve this. We'll do what we always do in math. We distribute in. 3x plus, I should get rid of that plus sign, because it's 2 times negative x, which means minus 2x. Plus 2 times plus 3 is plus 6 minus 1 equals 0. 3x minus 2x is just 1x. And then plus 6 minus 1 is plus 5 equals 0. Bring that 5 over and you get x equals negative 5. Excellent. Now what we can do is we can use that into our equation to solve for y. So I'm going to take that and I'm going to put it into one of these two equations here to solve for y. If you were looking at this, which equation do you think is easier to solve for y? Hopefully you would say this one here, because y is already isolated for you. You don't even have to do any work. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take that new value of x and put it in for y. Y equals negative x. So remember, we're substituting the value of x in. We've got to put brackets there. And we said that x is negative 5 plus 3. So y equals negative times negative. You know negative and a negative makes a positive. So we have 5 plus 3, which equals 8. So we found our value of x and y. That was it. For C. So we have x plus 4y equals 5. So now what we'll do here is we can isolate either for x or we can isolate for y. I think it's easier to isolate for x because it's already by itself. We don't need to do any division. So we're going to just move this 2y over, so we get x equals 7 minus 2y. So now what I'm going to do in here, instead of just writing that x, I'm actually going to write 7 minus 2y in brackets plus 4y equals 5. Now there's nothing multiplying with all these numbers in front, so we actually don't really need those brackets. So in this case, since there's no number in front, we can just take them out. And now it's really nice and easy to keep our y's to one side. Negative 2y plus 4y results in 2y. We're going to bring that 7 over, so it'll be 5 minus 7. And we get 2y equals negative 2, divide both sides by 2, divide by 2, and you're going to get y equals negative 1. Perfect. Now we can take that and put it back into our equation that we came up with over here. So we'll say x equals 7 minus 2 times y, which is negative 1. So x equals 7. Negative 2 times negative 1 is positive 2. So x equals 9. Perfect. Okay, and now we are on 2. So we're going to look at 2a. Okay, so let's isolate here for y, because it's by itself and it needs to really do any work. So we'll move that 3 over, so we get y equals negative 9 minus 3x. So now what we'll do is we'll write our regular equation, 2x minus, but instead of writing y, we're actually going to write what y also means according to the other equation. So we're going to substitute that in. Negative 9 minus 3x equals 5. So we have 2x, and now this negative sign is going to go in and switch all those signs. So 2x minus negative, which means positive 9, minus negative, which means positive 3x, equals 5. Okay, so we'll collect our like terms. 2x plus 3x is 5x equals 5. We'll move that 9 over, it becomes negative 9, so we get 5x equals negative 4. Divide both sides by 5, divide by 5, and you get x equals negative 0.8. Now let's go ahead and put that back into our regular equation, which was y equals negative 9 minus 3 times x, which was negative 0.8. So you get y equals negative 9 plus 2.4. So you're going to get y equals negative 6.6 as your answer there. Okay, the other thing we have to do is C. So here, this one's actually really nice and easy because we'll just move this y over, and there's a 0 here. So watch this. So x, that minus 2y becomes positive 2y, and that's it. So now what we need to do, we'll just put it into our regular equation. 6 times x, but we have a different value for x. We said every time we see x, we can write that. So 6 times 2y plus 3y equals 5. So 6 times 2y is 12y plus 3y equals 5. So that's 15y equals 5. Divide both sides by 15, divide by 15, you get y equals 0.33. Okay, now let's take that y value, we'll put it back into our x formula. X equals 2 times y, x equals 2 times 0.33, x equals 0.667. And those are our two values there. Okay, for 3 we have A and C. Perfect. Okay, so 3 we have A and C. We have x. Yeah, we're still using substitution. So now we can just move this y over, so it'll be x equals 6 plus y. So now instead of writing x plus y, I can go ahead and write what x equals, which is 6 plus y equals negative 2. So 6 plus, there are how many y's here? There are 2 y's equals negative 2. So 2y equals negative 2 minus 6. 2y equals negative 8. Divide both sides by 2, divide by 2, and you get y equals negative 4. We can go ahead and put that back into our equation. X equals 6 plus y. X equals 6 plus negative 4. X equals 2. Okay, for C, we have Let's isolate for y up here because it's already by itself, so we'll just bring that 2x over. So we're going to get y equals 2 minus 2x. Okay, and then we will put this into this equation here. So we have 3x plus 2 times y, but we have a different value for y. We said 2 minus 2x equals 5. Okay, so we get 3x plus, and then that multiplies in, 4 minus 4x equals 5. So we get negative x equals 5 minus 4, negative x equals 1, so we get x equals negative 1. Now take that value and put it back into y equals 2 minus 2x. We get y equals 2 minus 2 times negative 1. Y equals 2 plus 2, y equals 4. Excellent. Oh boy, there's lots here. Okay. Number 4, it says Malcolm is twice as old as Sandeep. The sum of their ages is 39. Good question here. So we're going to use M for Malcolm, and we're going to use S for Sandeep. Now, one equation, it says Malcolm, the age of Malcolm, is 2 times as old as Sandeep. The other thing it says is the age of Malcolm plus the age of Sandeep equals 39. So we have one equation, we have 2 equations, let's use substitution. So what we're going to do is we're going to substitute that in there. So we're going to have 2s plus s equals 39. So we have 3s equals 39. Divide both sides by 3, divide by 3, and you get s equals 13. So how old does that make Malcolm? It means Malcolm is 2 times s, which is 2 times 13. Malcolm is 26. So those are our 2 ages there. Okay, so we're going to use the elimination method to solve each linear system here. Okay, so with elimination, let's set it up. X plus y equals 2. 3x minus y equals 2. So we're going to look at the y. Since they're both coefficient of 1, it's a y and a negative y. They are different, so we are going to need to add. So we're going to add here because they are different. So when you add these things together, x plus 3x is 4x, y plus negative y is 0, 2 plus 2 is 4. So we have 4x equals 4, divide both sides by 4, divide by 4, and you get x equals 1. Now we're going to put that into one of our equations, like this one, x plus y equals 2. So x is now 1 plus y equals 2, so you're going to end up getting a value of y equals 1. Okay. For C, I'm going to do C over here. 2x plus y equals 8. 4x minus y equals 4. So those things are, again, different, which means we need to add. So we're going to add. 2x plus 4x is 6x plus 0. 8 plus 4 is 12. So we have 6x equals 12. Divide both sides by 6. Divide by 6, and you get x equals 2. Good. Now we'll put that into our regular equation. 2x plus y equals 8. So we have 2 times 2 plus y equals 8. So 4 plus y equals 8. So you're going to get y equals 4. So those are our 2 values there. For 2a, so we're going to solve the first one. So we have 2x plus y equals 7. X minus y equals negative 1. Again, they're different, so we need to add. So 2x plus x is 3x. Those two things are going to cancel out, and you get 7 plus negative 1, which is 6. Divide both sides by 3, divide by 3. X equals 2. Now we're going to put that into our equation. So x minus y equals negative 1. It's going to be 2 minus y equals negative 1. So when we bring that over, we're going to get 2 plus 1 equals positive y, and you're going to get 3 for the value of y. Okay, and then we have 2c. So 2c is x minus y equals 3. 2x plus y equals 3. Good stuff. Different again, we'll add. So x plus 2x is 3x. Those two things are going to cancel out. And that equals 6. Divide both sides by 3, you get x equals 2. substitute it back into the original x minus y equals 3. So that's one of our numbers. So we have 2 minus y equals 3. So we're just going to shuffle everything around. 2 minus 3 equals y equals negative 1. Good stuff. Okay, now we are on to 3. We're going to do a and c. These ones are a little bit trickier. So for a, we have x plus 2y equals 2, and 3x plus 5y equals 4. Now what we need to do is we need to either get our x's to be the same or our y's to be the same. There's a couple ways to do it. If we want to get our x's the same, all we need to do is multiply this one by 3, because then we would have 3x and 3x. If we want to get our y's the same, well, what's the same number or common number between 2 and 5? Well, they both eventually will multiply to 10. This one have to be multiplied by 5. This one have to be multiplied by 2, but that's 2 steps instead of 1. And mathematicians, they're pretty lazy, so they don't want to do that. They would rather just do the 1 step. So we're going to multiply that top one by 3. So when we do that, we get 3x plus 2 times 3 is 6y equals 2 times 3, which is 6. And then we still have our 3x plus 5y equals 4. Perfect. So now what we're going to do, these things are the same, so we are going to subtract. So those two things are going to cancel out, and you're going to end up with 6y minus 5y is just y equals 2. Now we'll put it into our equation. X plus 2y equals 2. X plus 2 times 2 equals 2. X plus 4 equals 2. And you'd end up with negative 2 for x. Awesome. Okay, next one here, 3c. We have 2x minus 3y equals negative 12, and 6x plus 5y equals negative 8. So this one's not so much fun because we're actually going to have to do some work, because we're going to have to, actually we can take the easy way out as well. So let's just take a look at the x's. We'll just multiply this one by 3. Okay, so we do that, we multiply it by 3. We're going to get 2 times 3, which is 6x minus 9y equals negative 36. We just multiplied everything by 3. 6x plus 5y. This one did not change because we didn't multiply it by anything. Okay, perfect. And now we're going to subtract because they're the same, so those things are going to cancel out. Negative 9 minus 5y is negative 14y equals negative 36 minus negative 8 is negative 28. Divide both sides by negative 14. And you end up with y equals positive 2. Now we're going to put that back into our original equation. 2x minus 3y equals negative 12. So we have 2x minus 3y, which is 2, equals negative 12. 2x equals negative 12 minus 6. 2x equals negative 18. Divide by 2, divide by 2, you get x equals negative 9. Okay, last question here. Tickets for a play cost $5 for adults, $3 for children. A total of 800 tickets are sold, and sales are 3,600. So a couple things going on here. Let's use a big A for adults, and children will use a C. So it says we have 800 tickets sold, which means the number of adult tickets plus the number of child tickets has to equal 800. So that's the very first thing. And it says the total sales are 3,600. So we know that it's $5 per adult. And another way to make money is charge $3 per child. And how much money did they end up making? They made $3,600. So how many tickets did we sell? Well, we have our two equations here. Why don't we solve these things? So there's a couple ways to do it, but I think it's just easiest to use elimination since I've already arranged it like that. So I would just go ahead and multiply by 3 so we can match up our C values. So we have 3A plus 3C equals 2,400. And we have 5a plus 3c equals 3,600. And now what we'll do is we'll subtract these things. So we're going to get 3a minus 5a, which is negative 2a, equals 2,400 minus 3,600, which is negative 1,200. Divide both sides by negative 2, so those things cancel out. And you get a equals 600. Excellent. Now we'll substitute that back in. A plus c equals 800. We'll use that a value over there. 600 plus c equals 800, and the math will lead you to c equals 200. So we know we sold 200 child tickets, 600 adult tickets, and that is it.